Man, our Father, Messiah, and Holy Spirit with us. Back into it. Pray that you all can hear me well. Game on number 2. Alas, our Father in heaven in his wrath has shamed fair Zion, has cast down from heaven to earth the majesty of Israel. He did not remember his footstool. He did not remember his footstool in his day of wrath. Our Father in heaven has laid waste without pity all the habitations of Jacob. He has raised in his anger fair Yehuda's stronghold. He has brought low in dishonor the kingdom and its leaders. In blazing anger, he has cut down all the might of Israel. He has withdrawn his right hand. In the presence of the foe, he has ravaged Jacob like flaming fire. Consuming on all sides, he bent his bow like an enemy, poised his right hand like a foe. He slew all who delighted the eye. He poured out his wrath like fire. In the tent of fair Zion, our Father in heaven has acted like a foe. He has laid waste Israel, laid waste all her citadels, destroyed her strongholds. He has increased within fair Yehuda, mourning and moaning. He has stripped his booth like a garden. He has destroyed his tabernacle. Our Father in heaven has ended in Zion festival and Sabbath in his raging anger. He has spurned king and priest. Our Father in heaven has rejected his altar, disdained his sanctuary. He has handed over to the foe the walls of its citadels. They raised a shout in the house of our Father in heaven. As on a festival day, our Father in heaven resolved to destroy the wall of fair Zion. He measured with a line, refrained not from bringing destruction. He has made wall and rampart to mourn. Together they languish. Her gates have sunk into the ground. He has smashed her bars to bits. Her king and her leaders are in exile. Instruction is no more. Her prophets too receive no vision from our Father. From our Father in heaven. Silent sit on the ground. The elders of fair Zion. They have strewn dust on their heads and girded themselves with sackcloth. The maidens of Jerusalem have bowed their heads to the ground. My eyes are spent with tears. My heart is in tumult. My being melts away over the ruin of my poor people. As babes and sucklings languish in the squares of the city, they keep asking their mothers, where is bread and wine? As they languish like battle wounded in the squares of the town, as their life runs out in their mothers' bosoms, what can I take as witness or liken to you, O fair Jerusalem? What can I match with you to console you, O fair maiden Zion? For your ruin is vast as the sea. Who can heal you? Your seers prophesied to you delusion and folly. They did not expose your iniquity so as to restore your fortunes, but prophesied to you oracles of delusion and deception. All who pass your way clap their hands at you. They hiss and wag their head at fair Jerusalem. Is this the city that was called perfect in beauty, joy of all the earth? All your enemies jeer at you. They hiss and gnash their teeth and cry, we've ruined her. Ah, this is the day we hoped for. We have lived to see it. Our Father in heaven has done what he purposed. He has carried out the decree that he ordained long ago. He has torn down without pity. He has let the foe rejoice over you, has exalted the might of your enemies. Their heart cried out to our Father in heaven, O wall of fair Zion, shed tears like a torrent. Day and night give yourself no respite, your eyes no rest. Arise, cry out in the night. At the beginning of the watches, pour out your heart like water. In the presence of our Father in heaven, lift up your hands to him. For the life of your infants who faint for hunger at every street corner, see, O our Father in heaven, and behold, to whom you have done this. Alas, women eat their own fruit, their newborn babes. Alas, priest and prophet are slain. In the sanctuary of our Father in heaven, prostrate in the streets lie. Both young and old, my maidens and youths are fallen by the sword. You slew them on your day of wrath. You slaughtered without pity. You summoned as on a festival my neighbors from round about on the day of the wrath of our Father in heaven. None survived or escaped. Those whom I bore and reared, my foe has consumed. I am the man who has known affliction under the rod of his wrath. Me he drove on and on in unrelieved darkness. On none but me he brings down his hand again and again without cease. He has worn away my flesh and skin. He has shattered my bones. All around me he has built misery and hardship. He has made me dwell in darkness like those long dead. He has walled me in, and I cannot break out. He has weighed me down with chains, and when I cry and plead, he shuts out my prayer. He has walled in my ways with hewn blocks. He has made my paths a maze. He is a lurking bear to me, a lion in hiding. He has forced me off my way and mangled me. He has left me numb. He has bent his bow and made me the target of his arrows. He has shot into my vitals the shafts of his quiver. I have become a laughingstock to all people, the butt of their gibes all day long. He has filled me with bitterness, sated me with wormwood. He has broken my teeth on gravel, has ground me into the dust. My life was bereft of peace. I forgot what happiness was. Wow, that was me. I felt like that. My life was bereft of peace. I forgot what happiness was. I thought my strength and hope had perished before our Father in heaven. Amen. To recall my distress and my misery was wormwood and poison. Whenever I thought of them, I was bowed low. But this do I call to mind. Therefore I have hope. The kindness of our Father in heaven has not ended. Facts. Amen. His mercies are not spent. Facts. They are renewed every morning. Amen. Ample is your grace. Our Father in heaven is my portion. I say with full heart, therefore will I hope in him. Amen. Our Father in heaven is good to those who trust in him. Amen. I got all my trust in our Father in heaven. Amen. To the one who seeks him, it is good to wait patiently till rescue comes from our Father in heaven. Yo, this is what I needed to hear, actually. It is good for a man when young to bear a yoke. Let him sit alone and be patient. When he has laid it upon him, let him put his mouth to the dust. There may yet be hope. Let him offer his cheek to the smiter. Let him be surfeited with mockery. For our Father in heaven does not reject forever, but first afflicts, then pardons, and his abundant kindness, for he does not willfully bring grief or affliction to man, crushing under his feet all the prisoners of the earth, to deny a man his rights in the presence of the Most High, to wrong a man in his cause. This our Father in heaven does not choose, whose decree was ever fulfilled, unless our Father in heaven willed it. Is it not at the word of the Most High? Amen. That weal and woe befall. Of what shall a living man complain? Each one of his own sins. Let us search and examine our ways, and turn back to our Father in heaven. Let us lift up our hearts with our hands to Elohim in heaven. We have transgressed and rebelled, and you have not forgiven. You have clothed yourself in anger and pursued us. You have slain without pity. You have screened yourself off with a cloud, that no prayer may pass through. You have made us filth and refuse in the midst of the peoples. All our enemies loudly rail against us. Panic and pitfall are our lot. Death and destruction, my eyes shed streams of water over the ruin of my poor people. My eyes shall flow without cease, without respite, until our Father in heaven looks down and beholds from heaven. My eyes have brought me grief over all the maidens of my city. My fools have snared me like a bird without any cause. They have ended my life in a pit and cast stones at me. Waters flowed over my head. I said, I am lost. I have called on your name, O our Father in heaven. From the depths of the pit, hear my plea. Do not shut your ear to my groan, to my cry. You have ever drawn nigh when I called you. You have said, do not fear. You championed my cause, O our Father in heaven. You have redeemed my life. You have seen, O our Father in heaven, the wrong done me. O vindicate my right. You have seen all their malice, all their designs against me. You have heard, O our Father in heaven, their taunts, all the designs against me. The mouthings and pratings of my adversaries against me all day long. See how at their ease or at work I am the butt of their gibes. Give them, O our Father in heaven, their deserts. According to their deeds, give them anguish of heart. Your curse be upon them. O pursue them in wrath and destroy them from under the heavens of our Father in heaven. Alas, the gold is dulled. The gold is dulled. The base the finest gold. The sacred gems are spilled. At every street corner, the precious children of Zion, once valued as gold, alas, they are accounted as earthen pots, work of a potter's hands. Even jackals offer the breast and suckle their young, but my poor people has turned cruel. Like ostriches of the desert, the tongue of the suckling cleaves to its palate for thirst. Little children beg for bread, none gives them a morsel. Those who feasted on dainties, like lie famished in the streets. Those who were reared in purple have embraced refuse heaps. The guilt of my poor people exceeded the iniquity of Sodom, which was overthrown in a moment, without a hand striking it. Her elect were purer than snow, whiter than milk. Her limbs were ruddier than coral. Their bodies were like sapphire. Now their faces are blacker than soot. They are not recognized in the streets. Their skin has shriveled on their bones. It has become dry as wood. Better off were the slain of the sword than those slain by famine, who pined away as though wounded for lack of the fruits of the field. With their own hands, tender-hearted women have cooked their children. Such became their fare. In the disaster of my poor people, our Father in heaven vented all his fury, poured out his blazing wrath. He kindled a fire in Zion, which consumed its foundations. The kings of the earth did not believe, nor any of the inhabitants of the world, that foe or adversary could enter the gates of Jerusalem. It was for the sins of her prophets, the iniquities of her priests, who had shed in her midst the blood of the just. They wandered blindly through the streets, defiled with blood, so that no one was able to touch their garments. Away, unclean people shouted at them. Away, away, touch not. So they wandered and wandered again. For the nations had resolved, they shall stay here no longer. Our Father in heaven's countenance has turned away from them. He will look on them no more. They showed no regard for priests, no favor to elders. Even now our eyes pine away in vain for deliverance. As we waited, still we wait for a nation that cannot help. Our steps were checked. We could not walk in our squares. Our doom is near. Our days are done. Alas, our doom has come. Our pursuers were swifter than the eagles in the sky. They chased us in the mountains, lay in wait for us in the wilderness. The breath of our life, our Father in heaven's anointed, was captured in their traps. He in whose shade we had thought to live among the nations. Rejoice and exalt, fair Edom, who dwell in the land of Uz. To you too the cup shall pass. You shall get drunk and expose your nakedness. Your iniquity, fair Zion, is expiated. He will exile you no longer. Your iniquity, fair Zion, he will note. He will uncover your sins. Remember, O our Father in heaven, what has befallen us. Behold and see our disgrace. Our heritage has passed to aliens, our homes to strangers. We have become orphans, fatherless. Our mothers are like widows. We must pay to drink our own water. Facts. Obtain our own kindling at a price. We are hotly pursued, exhausted. We are given no rest. We hold out a hand to Egypt, to Assyria for our fill of bread. Our fathers sin and are no more, and we must bear their guilt. Slaves are ruling over us, with none to rescue us from them. We get our bread at the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin glows like an oven. With the fever of famine, they have ravished women in Zion, maidens in the town of Jehudah. Princes have been hanged by them. No respect has been shown to elders. Young men must carry millstones, and you stagger under loads of wood. The old men are gone from the gate, the young men from their music. Gone is the joy of our hearts. Our dancing is turned into mourning. The crown has fallen from our head. Woe to us that we have sinned. Because of this, our hearts are sick. Because of these, our eyes are dim. Because of Mount Zion, which lies desolate, jackals prowl over it. But you, O our Father in heaven, are enthroned forever. Your throne endures through the ages. Why have you forgotten us utterly, forsaken us for all time? Take us back, O our Father in heaven, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as of old. For truly you have rejected us, bitterly raged against us. Take us back, O our Father in heaven, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days of old.